What we're in, chapter 10, Jesus just called his disciples together and picked 12 of them to be his apostles. And he's sending them out into towns and villages of the Jewish faith. Don't go to the Gentiles, go only to the house of Israel, he says. And then it says this phrase, he sent them out after giving them these instructions. And so chapter 10 is virtually the instruction manual, the user's manual, the directions for him sending them out to operate in this new covenant. And it says he gave them authority, and we talked about that. And then he told them this very incredible thing. Now we're going to read in chapter 10 of Matthew, verses 16 and 17. And then I'm going to take you back to share a little bit about that, about what he sent them to do. So here it is, chapter 10, verses 16 and 17. 36? Do you have your glasses on? All right, here we are. All right. Here's what it says. I think it's up there already, obviously. Vicky's squinting. Anyway, behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. So be shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves. Beware of men, for they will hand you over to the courts and scourge you in their synagogues. And it goes on. And what a happy thought, huh? Yeah. What a happy message in the instruction manual. I send you out as wolves amongst the sheep. And I think that kind of makes us go. I think we should take those out, just kind of like put a parentheses around those and say, that was for then, not now, right? And I don't know that we're able to, and I don't think we want to, and I think by the time I explain this to you, you're going to be happy to be, if you get to be chosen to be sheep amongst the wolves. I think it's the nature of God that is the most important thing. And what I like best, the person I love to read, to see the size and the glory of God is King David. I love to read his description of who God is. I don't really want to learn from David how I should live, but I do want to see the effect of seeing God properly, really knowing who God is, and how that affects a man's life. If you have been in Sunday school for any length of time or been around Christianity at all, you've heard of David and Goliath. And David's attitude, what he said to Goliath when he stepped forward, Goliath was shaming them. He was calling them all names. Talk about sheep amongst the wolves. They were scared to death. Anybody goes out and fights, this guy's a dead duck. And the deal is, if he loses, everyone in the whole country is a dead duck. Because the Philistines then, it's kind of a contest. Will spare the war if two of you fight. And David steps out and says something pretty profound because of his view of God. You've cursed God. You're a dead giant. You're dead already. David didn't expect there to be a battle. So here we translate all these years later. Jesus says, behold, I send you out as sheep amongst the wolves. And we, the flock of God, the sheep of his pasture, we all go. And yet, if I go back to thinking, wait a minute, David, the one thing David saw better than anyone else was the size and glory of God. Like I've said before, do I want to learn how to be a husband from David? No. Do I want to learn how to be a father from David? Heck no. But do I want to see the size and glory of God? Amen. Who would I want to learn that from? David. How does that affect? Did David really have what I have? He longed to see the day that I live in. Yes. The whole old covenant, from the time it begins, from the very first words, in the beginning, until Malachi's last words. The whole history of the communication God made with man, up until the day in the manger, where the shepherds in the field are visited by angels and the star shines in the sky. Everything about that time period, everything about God's relationship with man was to culminate in this one event. It said, He is coming. Said it in 100 different ways. He is coming. Jesus went into the temple as a 12-year-old. The wise men came from the east. The shepherds came in from their flocks to see this thing. And what they came to see was that he is here. And today we get to live all these centuries later, and for all this time, it's still not as long as they were saying he is coming. They are now saying he is here, and you and I get to live in a time where he is here. And I'm going to just tell you, David and Samuel and all of those guys, Solomon, I don't care who you're talking about, Abraham, they all longed to live in a day you live in. A day where a man could be sent out as a sheep amongst the wolves. A day where a man could be sent out with the kind of sending we're talking about here. We're going to put verse 8 back up from a couple of weeks ago, because I want to tell you the kind of sending they were being given. And here it is. Is verse 8 up there? This is what he told them to do. Well, verse 7 says, as you go, preach the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And then verse 8 says, heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons, and then freely as you have received, give. That's a heck of a commission. If I hire you for a job, when I used to interview for foremen, carpenters, whatever I interviewed for, painters, landscapers, all the things that were in my company at one time, I really needed, before I sent them out, I can't be in everybody's pocket all the time. So I really need to have an interview process that tells me some facts so that I can be pretty sure of what I'm hiring and what I'm sending out. My customers deserve that I do that. Jesus gives these assignment, and I sit down with guys and say, here's your job. This is what I expect. Don't violate. I had some pretty strong rules in my company because I had people all over the place. At one time, I had 60 guys working for me. There's no way I could govern them all. I had to have some kind of operating procedure to know that's going on. And then I had to be able to go look when they weren't there. Did they follow what I told them? Right? Jesus comes up with this assignment that is, again, heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons, and freely give as you've received. That's quite an operating assignment. And then to top it off, just the icing on the cake. Some of you dessert makers know what I'm talking about. The icing on the cake. By the way, you're going to be sheep in the midst of wolves. And while you're doing this, beware of men. Man, the most dangerous animal in the forest. Right? Whoa. If you've ever pastored anything in your life, you know one thing, that pastoring is awesome if it just wasn't for the people. It really is. I mean, I don't want to go into all that. It's just awesome. It really is awesome. It's better if you take the assignment Jesus gives you to heart. Amen. Heal the sick, raise the dead. I would be one to testify to you, just like Derek did, like Tony did, like Tiffany did, that really Larry came to us dead. And our assignment was to raise the dead. Now, of course, he wasn't a man who had left his body. He wasn't that kind of dead. And that is what Jesus is talking about, literally raising people who have died, bring their bodies back to life with their spirits back in them. But there's also that raise the dead. That comes along with the first part of the assignment, when you go preach the kingdom. And that word preach the kingdom means tell them the king is here. He is here. All that you've ever longed for, all that you've ever dreamed of, all of your hopes, all of your wishes that I remember as a child saying, I just wish I could know you were real. People that tell me you're real, they don't convince me by their behavior. I remember being a child, my brother going to Vietnam. It was a done deal. That poor guy had no chance. Me praying, please don't send my brother. Don't let my brother go to Vietnam. He will be Forrest Gump in the midst of the fire. I mean, he will not survive. And he didn't go. Miracle after miracle and deferments and his number not being called and those kind of things. He didn't deserve it. And I prayed and I prayed. And I remember my mother and father screaming at each other. Me saying, oh, please don't let my parents get a divorce. And they're still married. They're still together in their 80s. I remember the different things that I prayed for. But I still would say, those are good evidences. But I really just wish I could know you were real. One day in a 20-second prayer, he showed himself to me. And he revealed that he's real. And the call was to me. to become somebody that he would send out. Just like the disciples, come follow me, he said. I had to come follow him. It was at an altar just like this. But I remember the altar I went to. All I really wanted to know was, is he real? And if he's not, would you Christians get out of my face, And he was real. And I remember the awesome nature of that responsibility. It was almost like, oh shoot, now I know he's real. My bluff was called. He showed himself. Green was greener, the air felt different, the world was a different place. I knew he hadn't rejected me. No matter what I had done, he hadn't rejected me. And now it was up to me to follow him. He is here. At that time, it was Stockton, California. He was there. Today, I'm in Oroville, California. He's here. And the message to those of you who receive his word and the message to those of you who don't is right here in these verses that we've already studied. To those who receive what you say and to those who don't receive what you say, tell them the same thing. The king is here. The king is here. The kingdom is here. Will you be a servant in his kingdom? Will you come into relationship and have a king? And Jesus took 12 of those men, and here's what it says about them. This is the point I really want you to understand. It says, behold, in verse 16, behold, I send you. It's not always good to stop in the middle of a Jesus sentence because you don't want to take it out of context. I don't think you can miss the context of this. Behold, I send you. Jesus is sending us. Will you be somebody he sent? Now, he didn't send everybody. He picked 12. Will you be one of the ones he chooses? Today, it's way more than 12. The whole goal of his 12 was so that they would reach 12, Just keeps the tent pegs keep widening out, making room until finally, he says, when the whole world has heard this glorious message that the shepherds heard in the field, that the wise men heard in their countries, that the Israelites have been told for thousands of years, he is coming. And then the message, the answer to that, he is here. And when the whole world has heard that he is here, they all have a decision. What will they do? Levi was sitting at his tax collecting table. John and Peter and all of them were at their fishing boat. Follow me. I'm here. Well, what will you do? I'll follow you later when I've dealt with my catch of fish. I'll come later after I've buried my father, was one story. Let the dead bury the dead. He who does not come now is unworthy. He who puts his hand to the plow and turns back is unworthy. I'm like, oh, wow. Jesus is sending people. I would like to be sent to raise the dead, heal the sick, cast out demons, to receive to give according to how I've received. I would love to be chosen. I will tell you, I have been. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me. Demons, I do prevail against demons. I do prevail against sickness. I can confess to you, I have not seen a dead person that's, in the true sense of the word dead, come back to life. But I've seen many dead spirits come back to life. I have seen many revived and born again. I have seen many who were so bitter and angry fall in love with the Lord and start to like people. That's the biggest thing. The liking of people. You know there's a God when a person who hates everybody starts to like people and actually gives what they have for people. People that aren't perfect either. People that aren't good even. People that haven't even done much. All they've really done is maybe stood up from a tax collecting table where they were cheating everybody and said, okay, I'll come. People who will love even that guy. Like Jesus did. Call them and equip them and empower them and send them. I send you, he says. Well, I think Jesus is saying to you people, to us people, to our church, to your church, I'm sending you out amongst the wolves. Are you like David who says, wolves? Big deal. Out amongst men, beware of men. Ooh. I'll tell you, I'm way more afraid of men than I am wolves. Here's another story about David. You want to hear another story about David? He was a boy. This is true. He was a little guy. This is the attitude he had about God that probably is what qualified him to be chosen by Samuel when Jesse, his father, didn't even bring him in the lineup of the next anointed one. One of your sons is anointed, so he brought all of my sons. Is this all your sons? Yeah. You sure this is all your sons? Well, there's this little boy watching the sheep. Get him. And this is what qualified him to be anointed. This is what he said. When I watched my father's sheep out in the field, and the lion and the bear came to consume my father's sheep, did I not grab them by the beard and smote them unto death? They don't get my father's sheep. Next thing you know, he's being anointed to be king of Israel while he's still young. And his dad, Jesse, thought, woo, did I miss something there? He saw God. There ain't no lion and bear that can overcome me. I've seen God. I have seen his glory. And when he says to these 12 men, behold, I send you as sheep amongst the wolves, I'm thinking, whoa. If you thought he was sending you out for peaches and cream to go tiptoe through the tulips, and that's my first attitude. And it's like, wait a minute. Isn't it far better to be someone who goes out amongst the lions and the bears and has no fear? Fear not, for I have overcome lions and bears. I send you out into the world, but fear not, I've overcome the world. Anybody ever read these verses? Yeah. I mean, we need them to be the heart beating in our chest. We need them to be the words coming out of our mouth, the thoughts that we have. When we say all of my hopes and dreams, one of our hopes and dreams needs to include, I can be sent out. And fear not the lions, the bears, or the men, the wolves in sheep's clothing. They will try to trick me, but don't they know I have the mind of Christ? Don't they know? There's lepers in the world, and there's Ebola, and there's so many SARS. There are so many viruses. This is terrible. We should just close the doors, pull the blinds, turn on the air conditioners, have our food delivered, and let it be set outside the door. And after they leave, because we got it. We got it and we're good. But we don't want to let any of their garbage in, right? Because we're scared. But he says, I send you out amongst the Ebolas. I send you out amongst the lions and the bears. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. I send you out amongst them. Fear not. I've overcome them. Now these 12 men, they are a story of violent ends. And crosses that Jesus he hasn't been to the cross yet. But he said this before he went to the cross. Any of you want to come with me? First, you got to deny yourself, pick up your cross. I said, stop it right there. Pull the cord, stop the train. I got to go crossing with you. Don't crosses have nails? Fear not, I've overcome the nails. Would you take the nail? Look out for those men. They're hammer-slinging nail pounders, let me tell you this. And they swing a few whips and they got a few locks. Or, I send you out amongst them to heal and to save and deliver, to raise the dead and cleanse the lepers. Well, I've met quite a few lepers in my life. From time to time, I find myself rejecting lepers. And I think that possibly that could mean I'm rejecting the calling, don't you? When I look at it all, he's sending me out amongst lepers. You know what you got to do to heal lepers? You got to get close to lepers. I tell you, I met some. I mean, we don't really have the disease leprosy around Oroville a lot, but we certainly have some of the things that we as Christians like to call leprosy, like keep the homeless people away from me, keep the drug addicts back a ways. We'll let you have the scraps off the table, but don't let them get close. I mean, we as 21st century Christians have a whole different set of pressures on us, you know. I am called, as long as he doesn't send me somewhere uncomfortable. I am called, as long as there's no danger in it. But I like David's vision of God. Did I not grab him by the beard and smote them unto death? Did I not overcome? No lion and bear is going to have my father's sheep. And that's why I, as a leader of the Father's house, always say, come walk with me. I tell the ladies, they're safe with me. I'll look out for the lions and the bears. One of the things I tell young women is what you're looking for in life is a guy who, if you're walking with him, and two pit bulls come out, because every once in a while they get aggressive and come after things, you know. I always tell them, if it's a good thing when this happens, because you see if the man you're with will step between you and the pit bulls. Or will say, good thing I'm faster than you. I don't think that's the kind of guy you want to grab onto. He may not understand his sending, I don't think. But a man who says, let's avoid lions and bears all we can, but the problem is the sheep are being hunted by lions and bears. The wolves are hunting the sheep. And if you're going to go out to bring sheep into the sheep pen, you are going to be followed by lions and bears. And sometimes Paul the Apostle says they will even put on sheep's clothing to get in amongst the sheep. And oh my goodness, that could scare a person. That could make a person lose some sleep. Or a person can look at God and see God, like David did, and say, bring on your giants and your lions and your bears. Do you not understand who I walk with, who sent me, who called me, who empowered me, who lives in me? He made me a home. Jesus said, my Father and I will make our home in you. He made me his home, his dwelling place. The apostle said, no, you not. You are the temple of the living God. He made me his temple. Do you think lions and bears and wolves have the power against the temple of God? Who is this God we believe in? Who is this Father we are children to? Who is this Holy Spirit that we love so dearly, his touch and his surrounding? Who is he? Certainly we can be sent. Certainly we can be called. And can we believe that he would use us to heal leprosy and cast out demons? It's an evil place full of demons. What is your answer to that? Good. Then I'm the right guy to send. Amen. Good. Let's find them. They may have some of God's sheep bound. They may have some of God's people crippled. Good. Let's go set those people free. If they will be free, we will set them free. Jesus told these guys, give them your peace. If they won't receive it, take it back. Don't waste it on people that won't have it. But anybody who will, anyone who will receive your message, the King is here, give them your peace. I found that walking with people who have peace, it spreads because we're giving as freely as we have received. And I have found here at the Father's house a great many people who are walking in the greatest time of their life. They say, my life's the best it's ever been. The King is here. The King is with me. I am with him. And he sent me. So let's go. This is how we roll. Let's go. Let's go out into the city and let's bring mercy to the merciless. Let's bring relief to those who need relief. And then let's all come together and figure out, let's look again and look deeper and look further. Who is this God we follow? How big is he? How good is he? How great is he? Has he rejected us? Or has he not rejected us? Has he called us? Has he equipped us? Or is he equipping us? Are we being made ready for something, in preparation for something? You following me? Am I making any sense? Good. I'm pretty sure I am. Let's go together to the mountain of the Lord. Let's see what's possible to them that believe. And where two or more, we're in agreement with belief, let's even see that multiplication. You know how it multiplies? 1 puts to flight 1,000, 2 puts to flight 10,000. That's quite a multiplication. Unity causes. Where two of you gather in my name, there will I be in the midst of you. That's pretty good, that's pretty good multiplication right there. Me and you standing there, 2 bumps on a log, and then all of a sudden, there he is in the midst of us. Wow. That's a heck of a multiplication right there. It really is. Me and you with all the power we have, and then he comes and adds his. That's something. Where 2 or more of you agree on anything, it'll be done for you. Whew. As long as we keep disagreeing, we get what we get. But let's agree that lions and tigers and bears have no power over me. Leprosy is not dangerous to me. Ebola? Lions and tigers and bears and snakes and spiders and rats and cats and elephants, they just don't have any power in my life. For I have seen the glory of the Lord, and he is upon me. His anointing is upon me. His righteousness is in me. His holiness surrounds me. He honors me, and I honor him. He laughs with me, and he cries with me, and he walks with me, and he talks with me. He has not forsaken me. Oh, even when I have forsaken him, he has not forsaken me. Even when I have been faithless, he has been faithful. No matter what I've done, I cry out to him, and he answers me. He draws near to me, and he sends me. And today, my brothers and sisters, my friends and family, he sends me to you to tell you of his great love. My relationship with him will not allow my religion to flourish. I must stop and tell you who he is and what plan he has for you. And it is good. And it is great.